Hey YouTube, this is Orion making another vid. If you like my content, please consider clicking the like button and also please consider subscribing, as it is very much appreciated. This is my review of the real Steel Harrier S class. It is a titanium frame lock flipper with inletted carbon fibre panels on the show side. See below in the description box for the rest of the stats. I'll go on to the review of the knife. This knife features CTS 204P blade steel. I couldn't find what HRC Real Steel's advertising them as. Has a saber grind with an unusual fuller that's inletted into the blade. A stonewash on the blade, and the flats in the fuller are actually satin finished. There's jimping on the spine. Has external blade stop lugs, as well as another blade stop pin there. Has a finger choil, which fits me reasonably well. I don't really have much chance of going up onto the blade, and the handle fits my hand very well. And there is jimping on the flipper tab, but I'll talk about that later. This is a knife designed by Carson H at Real Steel and is their 5-year anniversary knife. It is a numbered knife, mine being 193. And when I bought this knife, it was about $100 more than what most of the other S classes were. So when I bought this, it was about $300 Australian. But I do see them now running closer over 400, or some of them are closer to $500 Australian. The most unusual part of this knife is the fact that it's got seal bearings and a double detent, which gives it a very smooth flipping action, and it's quite unusual. It sounds a bit different to normal flippers, and the seal bearings are usually only seen on custom knives. It also has a proprietary pivot, and you do actually get Real Steel sends the tool to tighten it up and disassemble the knife. They send it out with the knife. I have to admit, this was actually a little bit of a disappointment for me when I bought it. I had a lot of expectations for this knife, and it didn't meet those expectations a lot of the time. I found the pivot wasn't Loctited from the factory, so it tends to work loose as you fire it. Also, the blade is not necessarily perfectly centered. I've tried working on it to get it to the centered, but that's as close as I can get. It doesn't touch either thing, but it's slightly off. And my biggest complaint with the knife is the fact that the flipper tab jimping is slippery. It doesn't bite your knife, and I quite often slip off it like that and misfire the knife. But overall, when it does fire, it is very smooth. It fires really well and wiggles shut. But you can hear that slight different noise when it's flipping, and that's because of the double T detent. There's actually 2 detent balls in there, and that makes it a lot smoother. Okay, pros for the knife are the fact that it's got a seal bearings, which you don't normally see on production knives. They're mostly the cage bearings, but these are actually sealed bearings. Has a double detent, and the smooth flipping action are all pros. Cons are proprietary pivot, but they do supply the tool free with the knife, so that's not too bad. The pivot wasn't Loctited, and the blade develops blade play. Doesn't have any at the moment. I have Loctited it up, but yeah, I'm still a bit skeptical as to whether it will eventually loosen up again. It's slightly off centre as another con, and the slippery flipper tab. If they'd fixed all those up, it would be a very good knife. It's unusual. And I haven't seen this before either. This cutout is along this way, rather than normally cutouts are the other way. But and this wavy thing is Carson H's signature. He's done that on several of his knives. The Megalodons all have that as well, which are all designed by Carson H. Overall, not a bad knife. It is their most expensive knife. I just wish they'd done a few little bits and pieces on it to fix it up. I also found one last little bit is the fact that the blade the blade to handle ratio is a little bit off. It just seems to me that this handle is as big as the Megalodons are, but the blade is slightly shorter. They could have added a little bit more on to take up the entire handle, like it finishes here, and they could go several more millimeters on just to fix up, because especially with the cutout with the cutout there, you do lose a little bit of usable blade length. There it is. There's the lockup. Overall, not a bad knife, but could be better. There it is, the real Steel Harrier S class. Thanks for watching.